This season, give Craftsman tools and give the gifts that keep on giving. Craftsman, guys' favorites guaranteed. Find it at Sears.
Almost set for the tip this afternoon. George Mason and Richmond. Game one of our doubleheader in the Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic. To the starting lineups we go. The Patriots. We'll take a look at Williams and Copes down low. The threat of this team and the strength is their interior. Copes leading rebounder and shot blocker. For the Richmond Spiders, we talked about Williams. Keep an eye on number 3, Darien Brothers. He's shooting over 50% from three-point range. And the Spiders are coached by Chris Mooney, now in his 8th season. Back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances a couple of years ago in 2010 and 2011. They are off to a 9-3 start this year. And George Mason, their head coach Paul Hewitt, now in his 2nd season. Last year went 24-9, first year on the campus of George Mason, and this year now it's 6-4 in their final game before the Christmas break. Our officials, Roger Ayers, Brian Kersey, and Leslie Jones. And we are ready for the tip here today from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. Spiders will start on offense first, Ron. And what do they like to do offensively?
Well, they like to work the ball around a lot. They won't always shoot early in the shot clock, but you have to guard the perimeter because they have deadly shooters out there.
Williams works it to the top to Brothers, and he is one of those deadly outside shooters for the Spiders. There's another Cedric Lindsay, and he does. He starts it off with a 3.
Almost right on call. But what was good about that action, they went inside, drew the defense in, threw it back out for the wide open 3.
Lindsay shooting at 35% from three-point range this season. Comes off a 12-point effort in the last game for the Spiders. They lost at Kansas, 87-59. George Mason off a tough loss a few days ago as well. They lost to Northern Iowa at home in overtime by 5. Shot clock down to 5. Blocked inside. Good play by Greg Robbins on the drive that time. Another 3, and it's good again. And that's Brothers, so there we go. Back-to-back, Lindsay and Brothers for Richmond.
Mike, if you've seen Richmond over the years, the look of this ball coverage is going to be just a little bit different. Over time, they used to take their time. They used to work the shot clock, deep into the shot clock. Now they're running a lot more and shooting an awful lot quicker because of their depth and their speed in the backcourt.
Spiders are second in the Atlantic 10 in three-point shooting at over 38%, and that's what we're seeing so far here to start as Corey Edwards comes back and says, all right, our turn. Edwards now 4 for 5 from three-point range this season for George Mason. Brothers off the mark on the pull-up. Ball picked up by Copes, and there'll be a foul underneath. They'll look sloppy here for the Patriots trying to drive.
From a coaching standpoint, this is perfect. The ball goes inside, you draw the defense in, have your guard stand around the arc, be set, and knock it down. And then here in transition, they come down. George Mason doesn't pick up. And what does Brothers do? He nails a deep Julian pull-up.
The foul's on Derek Williams, his first for Richmond, and Johnny Williams is at the line for George Mason.
Mason this year, they're going to be as solid as their backcourt allows them. They have a lot of depth on the inside. They have experience on the inside, but their guard play is what's going to be crucial for them as this year progresses.
Richmond quickly up the court. Here's Taylor. Taylor rejected by Copes, but a foul. He got him in the body.
The best way to attack a press is attack the press. And Richmond does a good job at getting out in transition, going at the basket. When George Mason picked up in their full-court defense, Richmond's mentality was not pass, pass, pass. It was attack, which is perfect.
Here's Deion Taylor from St. Augustine High School down in New Orleans. He's in pretty good minutes as a freshman for the Spiders. Terry Allen, the other freshman, who gets a ton of time for them this season. A lot of young players on the court here today, Ron. Just 2 seniors that see action for Richmond. Really none for George Mason. They have a very young team this year.
They're young, they're deep, and that's why both of these ball clubs are at the top of their conferences because of their depth and their experience. But, you know, whenever you have a chance to have your core group of guys coming back again as a coach, you've got to love it.
Mason's full court press causing a little trouble, and they come up with a steal. With Sherrod Wright. Wright's been outstanding. Gets it to go.
That's when Wright's at his best, when he's in attack mode. He's very hard to stay in front of because he can create and use either hand.
Lindsay kicks at the tailor. Now Williams left alone for 3. Williams will step back and shoot that shot. Richmond is now 3 for 3 so far from 3-point range.
And that's part of their game plan. They'll take a lot of threes if it's there. You shouldn't be surprised at Williams taking that jump shot because he'll take a few of them each game, especially if his man doesn't come out and guard him.
They're trying to go into the post of Johnny Williams. And he's got it. Mason crashing the offensive glass, and a foul is going to be called. It's going to be on Greg Robbins.
This is Wright on the left wing, and this is part of his value right here. The play breaks down, but this is just a great one-on-one move where he takes Robbins off the bounce.
The foul's on the floor. It's Anai Okaloji, a sophomore for George Mason, and got hit. Right. It's the little fadeaway to drop. It's a 2-point ball game. And a steal. Heads up. Sherrod Wright with 2 quick ones ties the game at 11.
When your offensive guy gives you heads-up defensive play, that's nothing but a bonus. And Wright's a guy that's plugged in and clearly understands what call he wants.
Spiders first miss from 3-point range. Looking again into Williams, and this time Richmond is there from the backside. Williams on a steal. Brothers, count it. 2 for 2 for Darien Brothers, the senior captain from Richmond, knocking down the tray. Foul underneath. Timeout.
We all know about George Mason's doing an excellent job, Mike, in their full court press. They're turning Richmond over, and consequently, they haven't had to run much half-court offense because they've been getting steals, getting some easy buckets.
How about that play by Sherrod Wright on the steal and the slam? He's got 6 points for the Patriots.
That particular play, he read the play just like a free safety would in football. He shot the gap, got the steal. He's 3 for 3 right now with 6 points. 6 of their 11.
And there he is, now launching up a 3, and he ties it at 14.
And if you're Richmond, you're really upset because you know they went over the scouting report. We have to do a good job on Wright. But that's what good players do. They show up regardless of what the scouting report is.
Wright averages 16.4 a game. He already has 9 so far this afternoon throughout the first 5 minutes. Kendall Anthony is now in for Richmond. Finds Brothers, and that's what he does. Does it again. Another 3-pointer for Darien Brothers.
George Mason has to do a much better job at closing out towards Richmond shooters. They have to force those guys to be drivers as opposed to set shooters.
Offensive foul on a hook down low.
Again, Richmond's bread and butter is made on their perimeter shooting. A nice little dribble, penetrate, and pitch, and Brothers had his feet set, his eyes lined up, and he nailed it. But Richmond has to do a much better job at handling the full court pressure by George Mason, and they're mixing it up. Now they're in a man-to-man full court press. They switch from a 1-2-2 to a man-to-man.
Here comes 5'8" sophomore Kendall Anthony, dishes it, and we got a blocking foul as Alonzo Nelson Ododa went to the hole. He'll have free throws coming up. Bertrell Vaughn's called for the foul, his first. Third on George Mason in this first half. Nelson Ododa, the redshirt freshman from Atlanta, Georgia, looking for big play out of this guy this season, are the Spiders.
Because he's one of their most mature post guys that they have. You know, he's been around for 1 year, even though he sat out that year. And the other guys that are coming in, aside from Williams, they're all freshmen. So these young post guys are getting a lot of playing time early. Now it's up to them to produce.
1 for 2 at the line. Richmond by 4. White got it knocked out. Another offensive foul on the Patriots. It's on Jonathan Arledge. How about this full court press here by George Mason? Has caused a couple of turnovers early on.
Well, what's happened is they smell blood. They've had some success. So what they're doing now is they're just mixing it up. They're trying to keep Richmond a little on edge to figure out, are we trapping this possession or are we going head up man to man? Because they don't want to just have to play against Richmond's half-court offense every single possession.
Ododa rejected by Johnny Williams. Heck of a play to keep it in bounds. And a foul, as that was Brian Allen on the drive before the putback.
Great reaction time that time by George Mason. They got the steal and they didn't pause and wait. They got out on their transition game with great efficiency. Take a look at this here. There's some penetration. The shot goes up, it gets blocked, and then 2 seconds later, George Mason, they're off to the races. And that's the way you attack on missed baskets, on turnovers, on steals. If you can get your first 2 steps out of the gate really strong, most times the transition defense doesn't have a chance to get back and get set.
Cedric Lindsey back in.
And what happens a lot of times, the first 7, 8, sometimes 10 minutes of a game, it's like when a boxer throws a lot of jabs. You're trying to see what works, what doesn't work. And then the latter part of the first half and into the second half, coaches will settle into a certain amount of plays, offensively as well as defensively.
Williams back in as well for Richmond. He just got that rebound. But we know one thing's for sure, right early on, it's going to be a fast-paced ball game. It seems like.
No question. Mason wants more fast-paced game. Richmond's playing an awful lot faster this year than they have in years past because of their athleticism and their ball handling ability by their guards.
10 on the shot clock. Spiders are averaging 72.3 points a ball game. Third in the A-10. Williams, another three-point try, and he's hit 2 so far this afternoon.
And we touched on that a little earlier. George Mason's bigs are going to have to extend their defense. They can't look at Williams physically and assume that he's not going to take those shots because that is part of Richmond's arsenal. Their bigs step out and knock down those J's when you don't play them.
And that shot right there by Marko Gujaničić stops a 10-3 Richmond run. It's a 5-point ball game. There's Lindsey. There's Brian Allen. Wayne Sparrow. Shot clock to 5. Patriots force another turnover. And knocking down the mid-range jumper is who else but Sherrod Wright.
There was excellent communication that time, though, Mike, by George Mason in transition. The guys were talking, letting the next receiver of the ball know, look, I'm coming to you. And they gave it to Wright in the corner wide open. Excellent communication that time by George Mason.
He's got 11 points, Ron. Mason trying to defend the three-point arc. Yeah, you got to stay on these outside shooters. Richmond 6 of 7 from three-point range. Williams 6 of 8. Vaughns ties it with a 3. Trail Vaughns, a junior from Texas, who struggled a little bit with his offense. His defense has been great since Coach Hewitt, but right there, it's a big 3. Allen is bumped and fouled by Arledge for George Mason, who picks up a second.
Excellent communication here by George Mason in transition. They recognize their shooters in the corner. They find him.
Today.
We'll take a look at the job that Wright does defensively. Right now, Wright's right here. His eyes, his vision is right here in the trap. He sees his guys right here. But he knows that this is where he has to go. But instead, he's reading the trap, makes the steal, shoots to the passing lane, and gets the easy dunk. That's being smart. That's being an experienced junior that understands the press, not just what to do. He understands why he's doing those things.
Wright taking a breather on the sideline right now for George Mason. He has 11 points. The Patriots have 3 steals in this ballgame so far. It's been Richmond's outside shooting. It hit 6 3-pointers already, Ron, this first half.
And right now, they want to try to go inside, either off the dribble or inside to Williams, because you don't want your whole game to be predicated on just shooting threes.
Williams has actually hit a couple of shots on the outside. We got a foul underneath. New Year's Day, the NBC Sports Network invites you to relive all the moments that define Notre Dame's football's undefeated season. It all kicks off New Year's Day right here on the NBC Sports Network. Foul was on Bertrell Vaughns, his second for George Mason. Wright comes back into the lineup for the Patriots. Kendall Anthony, 2012 Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Year. 1 of 2 for a Spiders 1-point advantage.
And now Richmond has a press of their own. They're picking up full court man-to-man, trying to cut the clock. They can get a steal good. If not, they want to play solid half-court man-to-man defense.
A finger roll by the big guy, Kujanicic, and out of bounds. It'll be Richmond ball.
Again, you just saw a changing of the defenses by Richmond. They picked up full court, came back to their man-to-man. George Mason wasn't sure exactly what Richmond was doing, thus the turnover. Now Richmond has a shot at coming down the other end.
Halfway through the first half, and a good one here from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. Game 1 of our doubleheader today. And a 5-second violation.
Mike, Wright has come to play tonight, not just offensively. He hounded his man for an entire possession that time. Watch this. He's all over to his right. He's right there in his back pocket. He goes left. He's right there in his back pocket. Come on, ref. Where's the count? Where's the count? And then finally, the 5-second count. Excellent work. When your best player is working that hard, not just offensively, but on defense as well, it's got to lift the most of your whole ball game.
No doubt about it. Missed shot that time by Williams underneath. Offensive rebound for the Patriots. Brian Allen clears it out. This is Vaughn Gray. And they thought Williams was held. No call as the pass sails out of bounds.
You know, we're coming out of these games right out of final exams for a lot of these ball clubs, and if you see certain things that they've worked on, when you see a guy like a Vaughn Gray, hasn't logged much playing time in the first half of the year, he must have been working his tail over the break. And coach says, you know what, when the opportunity comes, I'm going to give you a few minutes.
Right about that, Vaughn Gray, only his 6th game of the season for George Mason, and their 11th here. Averages about 8 minutes a ball game. Brothers. Wow. Is someone going to get on Darien Brothers?
I'll tell you what, if they don't, it's going to be a long night for George Mason because he's in a flow and in a rhythm right now. With Brothers, though, there's a lot of body movement for Richmond, so the communication on behalf of George Mason has to be huge.
Well, three-pointers back and forth each side today.
Is somebody going to get on right on the other end of the court? But your best players, you want your best players to show up, and that's happening on both ball clubs.
12 points for Brothers, 14 points for Wright, 1 point Richmond lead. Williams into traffic, and he'll head to the free throw line.
Take a look at this nice little elbow pass, and then he just throws it out to Brothers, who's coming around the corner for a wide open jump shot. Poor communication on behalf of George Mason off the ball to have Brothers come open that wide open.
Williams at the free throw line. Foul on Marko Kujanicic, the freshman from Serbia. For Mason, his first. Williams, out of his part, he's able to step back, hit three-pointers, play inside. That guy's pretty versatile.
Well, what happened was he hit a few threes, so he was intelligent. He gave a nice little ball fake and then drove hard to the basket. The rotation was late and he picked up the foul.
Kujanicic. Williams outlets to Lindsay. So you got to respect that outside three-pointer from Williams.
So from Williams, from Lindsay, as well as Brothers, all their perimeter guys and then one of their bigs can knock down shots. So when they ball fake and jab, have to respect them.
Wright comes up with a steal. Under 8 minutes to go, first half. George Mason at 6-4, Richmond at 9-3. Ray lost it. Brothers again. 5 3-pointers this afternoon for Darien Brothers. Still in the first half, he's got 15. Timeout, George Mason. He came in shooting 50%.
I tell you what, Mike, when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And Brothers is feeling it.
Got 14 points. Let's take a look at what he's done so far here in the first half. He's 6 for 6 from the field.
And Wright, he's carrying a load for George Mason. What I love about Wright is he can score in a lot of different ways. He can put the ball on the deck. He can get to his spots. You see right there, that's a nice little step back as he gets inside the paint. Right here, excellent defense. He reads it, gets the steal, shoots the passing lane. And then, oh yeah, he can do that too. He can come off the screens. He can nail threes. 1-2 dribble pull up. He can flat out score the ball as well.
Coach Hewitt talked about Wright this summer. He said they had a little conversation and said, yeah, you know, you have to be the guy for us this season. And he has certainly responded. His work ethic has gotten him to this point.
What happens with graduation of some players leaves voids and opportunities for others. And Wright realizes that due to graduation and lost a few guys, it's now his time to carry the load offensively and be the leader that this ball club needs. George Mason is a solid point guard play away from not just being good, but being special.
Jump ball. Patriots possession. We talk about what they lost, Ron. Ryan Pearson, Mike Morrison, Andre Cornelius. Those 3 names, yeah, all they did was become 3 of the top 10 scorers in George Mason Patriot history.
And Pearson's one of the player of the years in the CAA. You know, Morrison was one of the better defenders in the CAA last year. That's an awful lot of experience and point production that you lose. But in an odd way, they're deeper this year than last year. They don't have as much experience in certain positions, though.
Brothers called for the offensive foul. Corey Edwards took the charge.
Well, George Mason did an excellent job of getting back in there with their transition D. Corey got set. Brothers tried to avoid him, but the officials thought he got just enough of his body right there.
Bang, bang, play. Seen a lot of offensive foul calls this season in college basketball, aren't we?
An awful lot of charges being called.
Arledge, and he got it taken away. Sparrow hounded by Corey Edwards. Brothers pulls up. Only his second miss of the afternoon. Edwards, good feed, finding Arledge inside, and he drew the foul.
Edwards did a great job at reading that screen situation. He didn't just come off on a pick and roll and attack. He came off the screen, let the play breathe just a bit, and found his teammate rolling to the basket. Sometimes, Mike, as a point guard, you have to let the plays breathe. That was a high ball screen. He came off. He didn't attack. He let the play breathe. He let it open up and then found Arledge slashing to the basket and delivered a pinpoint pass.
Well, that's what they needed, Ron. Mason had 3 turnovers in their last 4 possessions. Arledge this season, a junior from Silver Spring, Maryland. You see the numbers. Part of that deep front court that the Patriots have. And
Arledge is a really, really talented post guy. If he brings his hard hat just a little bit more, his point and rebound production goes sky high because he's ultra talented. He's light on his feet. Can change ends very well for someone his size.
You saw the stat with Mason, just 1 field goal in the last 5:40, but it's only a 5-point Richmond lead. Lindsay with 7 on the shot clock. Lindsay off a Sparrow screen for 3. But the combination of 2 Mason players tipped it right into the hands of Terry Allen.
Richmond switches defenses there in their matchup zone right now. They're following cutters through and then passing them off. And it's I couldn't say it fast enough because they didn't follow calls all the way through consistently. The inside was wide open.
Smart play by Williams as he found Arledge underneath. You said it there, Ron. And after that basket, it's a 5-point lead again for the Spiders. Their 7-point lead is the largest of the day. Sparrow takes it in for 2. Wayne Sparrow, the sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland, just 3 points in the last game. The redshirt sophomore hasn't quite emerged just yet. That was a strong drive. Turnaround fadeaway, countered by Arledge for 2. And Anthony is fouled by Arledge, and that's not good for him. That's going to be his 3rd, and it'll take us to a timeout. Richmond on top. 15 seconds of game time remaining in this first half, and it's been pretty darn good here, Ron. 34-29, Spiders by 5.
And both teams are lights out from the perimeter. Both teams shooting close to 60% from the floor. I don't want to be in the locker room on either ball club because both coaches are going to be telling their clubs, we have to guard somebody. Right now, Mason's shooting 57% from the floor and Richmond 58%.
That won't help the cause. Third foul on Arledge as he picked that up before the timeout. 1 of 2 at the line for Anthony. 6-point Spider advantage.
Because of George Mason's size, the Spiders have decided to go to this matchup zone just to try to protect the basket and prevent some of those duck-ins. But they have to be careful because the middle of the floor, if they don't follow those cutters through all the way, is wide open.
17 foul, 1-1 here for Johnny Williams. Can't convert. Foul was on Terry Allen, the freshman, his first for the Spiders. Underneath, Wade Sparrow. Strong drive to the hole. Largest lead of the day for Richmond at 8. Oh, good feed from Williams inside. And a foul as the Spiders bail out Gujanicic.
Robbins didn't get credit for the basket, but watch this excellent dribble action. He dribbles towards Sparrow, and that's a key for Sparrow to cut back door. Watch this. Dribble towards. George Mason doesn't have their head on the swivel. Backdoor cut, easy bucket.
Foul on Kendall Anthony, his second. Brothers is back in for Richmond, so is Deion Taylor, and there is Brian Allen for George Mason. The freshman from Serbia, averaging about 22 minutes a ball game. 1 of 2 on that trip. Patriots now 4 of 9 from the free throw line in this first half. See if they stay on Brothers.
They better.
It's at the top of your screen in the wing. Good steal. Gujanicic up to Brian Allen for 2.
Excellent reaction again by George Mason off the steal. When they get a steal, their wings are really getting out. And the bigs are keeping their head up, just throwing it over the top.
Sparrow slithers through and draws a foul. He had Brothers up ahead, but couldn't get it to him in time.
Solid D right here by George Mason. You see hands are active, bodies are active. They got beaten by the back door once, but not twice. And then once they get it, they're off to the races as Allen finishes.
Speaking of Allen, he picked up the foul. That's his first. The junior from Largo, Maryland, as Wade Sparrow heads to the free throw line for the Spiders. Patrick Holloway in for the first time for George Mason, and Derek Williams returns to the Richmond lineup. You talked about it earlier, Ron, the depth of both of these teams. Pretty darn good.
And that's a huge luxury, especially when you get into the second half of your season. When you can go to your bench 9, 10 deep, and it's not a huge drop-off, huge plus when it comes to postseason play.
Holloway is in for George Mason, the freshman from Fairfax, Virginia. First opportunity to play this afternoon for him. Averages about 11 minutes a ball game.
When you have a deep ball club on both sides, it's difficult at times as a coach to figure out your rotations, the timing of when you bring certain guys in. That has to be developed as the year goes on as well.
And that was Holloway misfiring on the 3. Lindsay. Good shot fake goes to Williams, and he's fouled.
Great read by Lindsay that time, but awful defense by Vertrell Vaughns. He has to square that man up and not let Lindsay turn the corner so easily.
Around a little foul trouble here now for George Mason. That's the 3rd on Vertrell Vaughns. There's 3 on Jonathan Arledge. It's the 10th team foul in this first half of the Patriots. Richmond now 9 of 14 from the free throw line. They are the A-10's best in that department at 74.9% coming in. As Brian Kersey checks something at the scorer's table.
Great job that time by the officials. What happened was the scores table gave the foul to the wrong person. The foul was actually on Holloway. And what happened, they gave it to Patrell Williams. And they took Williams out because that would have been, he would have put Williams in foul trouble. Williams said, no, it wasn't me. They finally got it right. Patrell Vaughns did not have the third foul.
So there's Vaughns. He has 2 fouls. Holloway picks up his first. They get it straight. And here are the Patriots down 7 late in this first half. Richmond's all over Johnny Williams down low. Taylor's tip doesn't go. Williams puts it in.
That time Richmond just wanted it more than George Mason. 2 offensive rebounds, and George Mason's defense never came back into play to throw that ball out of there.
And Allen throws it away. That's 11 turnovers now by the Patriots.
Watch this. They're getting on the floor. They go out in transition. Excellent move by the big guy, but he didn't finish. But watch this. 1 offensive rebound. Another one. They go up strong, and they finally get it. George Mason, it took them forever to even come back in the picture. That can't happen. You can't give a team 2 and 3 offensive opportunities, especially at this level if you expect to win.
Back-to-back turnovers for George Mason. Now a 9-point lead for Richmond. That's their largest of the afternoon so far.
What's key for Richmond is once they get up on you, their offense now becomes as much of a weapon as what they're doing, because then they'll be very, they'll make a lot of passes. They'll work that shot clock each and every possession, and then you'll start to play against them as well as the clock.
12-second differential between shot clock and game clock, and an offensive foul here called on Richmond. An illegal screen there on Deon Taylor, his second. Final possession for the Patriots here first half. You would think 23.1 assess their play in the first half.
Overall for George Mason, it's been pretty solid. They got something out of their full-court defense early. Richmond figured it out, and they didn't have as much success later. But George Mason has to do a much better job in their half-court sets at getting a good shot attempt.
Allen. There's White. Gets off a 3. Short. That basket, well, they're going to go take a look at it. They'll say it counts, and I'm sure they're going to go over to the monitor here, as that was Gujanicic on the putback. See if he got it.
It's going to be close. They're going to have to slow that one down, I think. Let's take a look at it from another angle. Way to stay active on behalf of Gujanicic, not giving up on the play, playing till the final horn blows. It may still be in his hands. Yeah, it may still be in his hands.
You see Roger Ayers there at the bottom of the screen. He does put the finger of the arm down, but now they went and looked at it. No basket.
They called it no basket.
It's the right call. Halftime score, Richmond 41, George Mason 32. Game 1 of our doubleheader in the Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic here from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. Let's go now to our NBC studios here at the half. The difference, Ron, the three-point shooting by the Richmond Spiders.
Three-point shooting, but when you look at it, both ball clubs shot lights out from the floor. You know, George Mason 54%, Richmond 57%. But in this half, look for George Mason to do a much better job at jamming Brothers, forcing him to be a ball handler, and offensively look for George Mason to attack the inside in that matchup zone by Richmond.
I just saw Brothers, who had 5 of those 8 3-pointers in the first half, season high in the first half of them. And here's a steal by Corey Edwards to start for George Mason, and the second half is underway. Okoloji to the basket, and the finger roll right hand goes down for Anale Okoloji, the sophomore from Brooklyn, New York.
Good job that time by Okoloji at attacking the basket. Again, he saw that the middle was open. He attacked it and went and finished strong. And that's what George Mason has to do a better job at, is if they're not getting fluid offensive play in their half-court sets, attack the basket and force Richmond to play defense.
The Williams battling the post. Derek Williams against Johnny Williams. Richmond and George Mason. 5 to shoot. Lindsay. Now he recognizes it. Puts it up. Copes the rebound. Right at 14 in that first half to lead the Patriots. Edwards hits a 3. Four-point ball game. Sometimes pretty much goes without saying, Ron, the first 4 minutes of the second half. How important is it, especially for a team that's down?
It's huge because you want to establish the tempo and the pace for how the half is going to hopefully be played. George Mason is starting this second half the same way they started the first half. A lot of energy, pressing, trying to generate steals with their full-court defense.
5-0 run. Again, shot clock down to 3. Robbins. The offensive board from Williams. Patriots ball and this three-pointer by Cedric Lindsay.
Mike, Richmond, they're running the shot clock down and getting their shot attempts late in the shot clock. Don't think that that's an accident. They know they have a huge lead. They established a huge lead in the first half. They're trying to use their offense as a weapon. There's no need for them to rush and shoot early in the clock. They're accustomed to playing that way if they have to.
This 3 off the mark by Okoloji, but an offensive rebound. Sherrod Wright has been working hard down low. Every weekday morning, join Dan Patrick for first-class sports talk and more mischief than any other show on the air. The Dan Patrick Show, weekdays from 9 to 12 Eastern, right here on the NBC Sports Network. Solid first half for Sherrod Wright. 6 of 7 from the field. 2 of 3 from three-point range. Now 15 points in his first free throw of the afternoon. It's Kendall Anthony back in for Richmond. Wright played 18 of the 20 minutes in that first half. Now has a team high and a game high 16. Nelson Ododa, basket and a foul. And that stops a George Mason 7-0 run.
Well, people say the Princeton-style offense doesn't allow for creativity in one-on-one. Right here, this is an isolation out of that Princeton-style offense. And Nelson Okoloji gets to the basket right here. He's isolated on the wing, little jab step, and the blow-by.
Eric Copes called for the foul, his 3rd for George Mason. Alonzo Nelson Ododa caps off a 3-point play.
Wright's done a good job so far in the game at carrying George Mason. I really think that Copes as well as Williams, those two guys have to come along and produce some points for George Mason.
Oh, he almost had the slam, but it was put back up and in by Johnny Williams.
And Williams has to do more of that. Stay around the basket, be active, be that energy guy to help them produce some points.
Brothers. And that is his first missed three-pointer this afternoon. 5 of 6. That one a little rushed. Edwards. Okoloji, and that's a 2. It's a 1-point ball game. Two-on-one. And look at Mason retreat. Stoppage in play. That was called by the officials.
Oh, it looks like he may have gotten the wind knocked out of him just a little bit. And the officials saw it and knew he wasn't feeling good. But it was odd. Okulaji was trying to stay on the floor.
Yeah.
And the official said, no, you don't look too good.
And now George Mason calls a timeout. Paul Hewitt and company. You see his team fight back. It's now just a 1-point Richmond lead. Spiders led by 9. It's now just 1 in the second half. We should take a look at an ice skating rink here in the city of Richmond, Virginia. And let's do some more of that. Friday, January 4th, college hockey continues right here on the NBC Sports Network. Colorado College looks to ring in the new year with an upset over the 12th-ranked Mavericks of Nebraska Omaha. It's the return of Friday Night Ice on January 4th here on the NBC Sports Network. Back inside the Richmond Coliseum, Mike Corey alongside former coach and Georgetown Hoya Ron Thompson. Happy holidays. Good to have you with us here in the second half of the first annual Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic. And the Patriots, Ron, have fought back to within 1.
We'll give them a lot of credit for the energy that they brought at the start of the second half. Richmond, on the other hand, they came out flat, not necessarily defensively, but offensively. They need to get back to the same energy they had on the offensive end here in the second half.
Pause for 3, in and out. Offensive rebound, Arledge, and he travels.
But that's okay. That's your big, getting on the boards, trying to give your team another possession.
VCU, Old Dominion, and George Mason leading the pack of the schools in Virginia. And joining us right now is Athletic Director of VCU, Ed McLaughlin, here at the Richmond Coliseum. And it's nice to see you. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
All right, very good. And the first annual Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic, in which your school is hosting. And just talk a little bit about it, what this means for the city of Richmond and the community.
It's a tremendous event for the city. It's a great basketball town and a lot of good teams. And it's a great way to get our fans, certainly fans that are basketball fans in the city of Richmond, engaged. And, you know, I give the governor a lot of credit for his office doing a lot of work to make this happen.
Now, you're a Boston guy.
I am.
You're now in Virginia. Talk to me a little bit about the energy that you've seen and witnessed since arriving in VCU.
It's amazing, the energy at this place. And our building gets fun every single night. I mean, we get 8,000 screaming fans every single night for our home games. But Richmond's a wonderful town. It reminds me a lot of Boston, to be honest, in a lot of the ways in the neighborhood. But it's a fun place.
Ed, I want to ask you real quick if you can discuss a little bit about VCU's Center for Sports Leadership. I know you guys do a great job of that over there, educating future leaders in sports as coaches and administrators.
We do. It is a world-class master's degree program. It really is, and done through our College of Education. And we have the future leaders of our industry here, and it's nice for us to be able to mentor a lot of them, and it's great for us to also have the help. I mean, because it's a bunch of talented young professionals who want to learn and want to do a good job, and we're lucky to have them, and it certainly serves our university's goals through quest to distinction in making it possible.
All right, well, it's been really good to be here this afternoon, this doubleheader of college basketball. We appreciate it. Looking forward to doing it again next year as well. Last thing, you get all your Christmas shopping done yet or what?
I'm starting as soon as I leave this interview.
Okay. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right, Ed McLaughlin, the VCU Athletic Director, joining us here courtside for the Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic. The first annual. They'll do it again next year around this time. VCU will be in it next year. Right now, Richmond, their hands full here against George Mason. They had a 9-point lead. It's been down to 1. Two on the shot clock, and they're not going to get it off. Nelson Adota a little late getting in there. And George Mason tightening up the defense in the half-court set.
And, Mike, I really think that Richmond has gone too passive offensively. In the first half, they were getting their shots within the floor of their offense. They were running into their half-court sets. They were shooting just a little bit earlier in the shot clock. Now, they're accustomed to winding the shot clock down, but they didn't. That's not how they got this lead.
Oh, what a steal from Robbins. Anthony rejected, but Robbins is there for the follow. It got blocked by Wright, and then Robbins put it in.
Second time in this game that George Mason conceded a layup by Richmond that didn't go. George Mason didn't get back, and Richmond got a chance to get an offensive rebound and get the putback.
Spiders were 1 for 6 for field goals in the second half prior to that. Arledge and Williams down low as Corey Edwards drives, tipped by Arledge. And Brothers comes out of the pack with it. Anthony a quick 2 for the Spiders. And that puts them up 5.
This Richmond ball club is at its best when they're playing at that pace. That time they didn't pull it back out and wind the shot clock down. They got a shot within rhythm early in the shot clock. Nice jumper.
Richmond averaging over 72 points a game. Puck doesn't go for Arledge. Anthony. A strong Edwards now. Quick shot from Edwards. Anthony is just firing away right now. He's just like,
he's trying to single-handedly get them back in the game.
Quick shots of the possession for both teams we've seen in the last couple of trips. Sherrod Wright, 7 to shoot. Anthony might have got a piece of it there, and here he comes again. Brothers, such a good touch with his shot.
And it couldn't come at a better time, and it doesn't get any better than that. 1-2 dribble pull up. He didn't get too deep, went just far enough, nailed the 10-foot jump shot.
Edwards, uncontested, gets the 2. And speaking of uncontested, Robbins for 3. Nine three-pointers for Richmond today. Williams. Foul on the rebound.
Mike, I really like when this Richmond ball club is playing at a slightly faster pace right here in transition. We're seeing a lot of good defense both ways, but when Richmond gets the steal right here, they get out in transition and they push it hard. You know, Robbins pushes it. Anthony gets out in transition. He misses it, but Robbins stays with it and gets the tip in. And when Richmond is playing at that pace, as opposed to pulling the ball back out, winding the shot clock down to 10, and then looking for a shot, as a team, their cadence has been a lot better than when they tried to pull it back out in work time off the clock like they did the first 10 minutes, which allowed Mason back in the ball game.
George Mason still looking for their first lead today. They had it down to 1. They had the possession, but did not convert. They've been playing full court a lot here today. Robbins works it through a crowd and has a foul called here on George Mason. Coming up next, college basketball continues right here on the NBC Sports Network. The second game of our doubleheader in the Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic. It is Virginia and Old Dominion. It's coming up next right here on NBC Sports Network.
Mike, when you look at Robbins for Richmond, he's all over the place. You see him sometimes in the post at the 4. You see him sometimes at the 3. And this year, more than anyone on this Richmond ball club, he's kind of sacrificed his game. You know, Mooney's asked him to play a little bit of power forward this year because of their youth.
Talking about Robbins, a senior from Wynwood, Pennsylvania. There is Robbins ahead of the pack. And we'll head to the free throw line. A little hard foul here.
Robbins trying to sell it, calling for the intentional. But again, they're getting steals and they're pushing the pace and they're playing faster. I really like how they look when they're playing at this pace. They get the steal, the reaction is perfect. Robbins goes in. He's calling for the attention. He's trying to get all he can, but there was a sincere attempt made for the ball.
Foul on Vaughns. Previous foul on George Mason was on Gujanicic as Robbins at the free throw line. 14 fouls on Mason here. It's the 4th on Vaughns. Coach Hewitt has Wright back up off the bench, and he'll check in for Vaughns. White early in the first half and then early in the second half. It seems like when he's done his damage so far.
Exactly. And when he starts when Richmond starts to lock in on him, that's when you need other guys to step up. I really think that Coates is a guy that has to pick up his energy level around the basket. Also, a guy like Johnny Williams for George Mason. These are guys that can generate points, can help this ball club when the defense starts to lock in on Wright.
We just saw Okoloji call for the offensive foul, and the guy we've been talking about, Robbins, 22 for Richmond and White. 10-point Spiders lead, largest of the day. And that passes to no one. Coates with the steal. Wright gets it into Coates. Kept in from Lindsay by Lindsay, and he'll draw the foul, and Edwards called for the block.
You see Edwards gets back. He was leaning to the right just a bit. His feet weren't set. You have to be set before the offensive guy leaves his feet.
Lindsay, a junior from Washington, D.C. As you see, brothers back into the lineup today. He's hit 5 3-pointers for the Spiders. Lindsay missed a couple games with a concussion, a key reserve from that Sweet 16 team a couple years ago. And the junior hits 1 of 2. Call for his second. George Mason here has missed 9 of their last 10 shots on the offensive end. What can they do better?
Well, when you look at the floor, now is when you need other guys to be able to score other than Wright. Richmond has multiple guys. They have Robbins who can get you points, Lindsay who can get you points, brothers who you already know. Who is George Mason going to turn to other than Wright to try and manufacture points?
Gujanicic, but not that time. And now the Spiders, who are in the midst of a 13-2 run here. Sparrow against Edwards. Taylor unable to hit that one from the outside, and the freshman from New Orleans. Holloway back in.
Look for Holloway to take quick shots. He's a really good jump shooter, doesn't need a lot of space. Paul Hewitt puts him in because he knows it. We're right around the 9-minute mark. We don't want to wait too late before we start to make an offensive push here.
You see the drought for the Patriots as of late. It's a fast start in this second half. Holloway for 3. That one's good. It's a 2. His foot was on the line.
Right on cue. He put him in. Yeah. He knows his job. They look for him. He nailed it.
You've done that a couple of times this afternoon, my friend.
I've been a little clairvoyant. Is that what you call it?
Lindsay will put it in for Richmond. Brothers is checked by Holloway. Should never let that guy leave his side.
The whole possession he needs to stay with him, because if he gets a little bit of space, he'll do that. He'll try to get a shot off. Good help by Coates, though.
Yeah, that time on the drive, and now Williams will draw contact, and another foul here on the Patriots.
Good aggression both ways right here on this possession. I really liked how Brothers took it in there, but Coates came over and said, get that stuff out of here, little man.
The foul was on Giannacich's third for George Mason. Two-shot foul, although Richmond in the bonus here now, 17 foul. Williams, who we featured at the start, Ron, who's averaging 14.8 points a game, 7 rebounds, 56% from the field. All those numbers first on the team.
And he does it the old-fashioned way. You know, he'll step out and hit a three if he has to, but it's primarily blue-collar work on the post. And you look at his size and you say, how does he get those shots off over taller defenders? And he does it with a lot of ball fakes and great energy.
Greg Robbins coming back in for Richmond. Terry Allen to the bench. See what Mason gets on this possession here with Edwards. Coates was held before he caught the pass.
But during that possession, it was excellent inside-outside action. He threw it in the Coates. He couldn't come up with anything. Threw it back out, relocated, and then Edwards went right back to him again. Excellent possession, I thought, that time by George Mason.
Down to Giannacich. Wild hook there, and Williams rips away the rebound for Richmond. Remember, Arledge has 3 fouls for George Mason, an inside guy for them. His Brothers pulls up and scores it.
Now, his brother's ability to hit the three got him that jump shot. He started at the three, gave him a head fake, 2 hard dribbles, got to the elbow, a la Kobe Bryant, and just raised above everyone and nailed it.
Robinson game high 19 for Brothers. Right back the other way. Edwards the basket on a timeout by George Mason. Today between George Mason and Richmond here from the Coliseum. Mike Corey, Ron Thompson, 10-point Spider advantage. 15-6 run for Richmond as well. Mason had cut it down to 1, Ron. Every single time they seem like they're starting to close a little bit of ground. Richmond has pushed it back up to double digits.
Give Richmond credit. You know, what they did was they offensively, they started to play back at the rhythm that they played that got them the lead in the first half as they broke the press and attack. When they're in attack mode, when they're not on their heels offensively, this ball club is really, really tough.
And that's 14 for Derek Williams on the slam for Richmond. They lead it by a dozen. He's defending Johnny Williams right now in the post. Williams, though, on the jumper as he got freed up and the double team went down to Giannacic.
You know, watch George Mason in their full court. Look to be slightly more aggressive, look to trap more to try and cut into this lead before time becomes a factor. Excellent play that time by Edwards. He saw that Robbins was out of control in the air, slid out under him, and took the charge. But this is how Richmond has been great in their transition game. They get the steal, they push it, and then they find Williams running the floor for the finish.
Richmond trying to keep George Mason at bay here on top by 10 in this second half with just under 7 minutes to go in the Governor's Holiday Hoops Classic. And there's a look at Blaine Taylor, the head coach of Old Dominion, whose team is coming up in Game 2 when they take on Virginia. That's coming up right after this one here today from the Richmond Coliseum. In Richmond, Virginia, Mike Corey and Ron Thompson. Nice to have you with us. Happy holidays, everyone. All right, so the Patriots down 10 with the ball here. See if they can cut into this lead. Sherrod Wright, their top scorer, who has 16. He is out right now. The freshman Patrick Holloway is in, and he has it. Holloway for three. Brothers up to Davis. Rejected and a foul. Johnny Williams got back.
You notice how Richmond got that basket, Mike? Turnover, transition, attack. Turnover, transition, attack. When they stay in that sequence, good things have happened all night for them.
Williams picks up his first foul for George Mason. Trey Davis, who redshirted last year. Father John Davis, a Richmond Hall of Famer from 1986. Third father and son duo to play in Richmond is Davis. Three on the way, count it. Wright with 19. Couldn't keep him out for too long.
Well, you know, what happened was I thought George Mason went away from trying to find him, and other guys started taking shots. You have to force feed your best player, especially when you get to crunch time and you need points.
Edwards pulls back and hits. And the lead has been cut in half, just like that.
If Edwards can consistently be an offensive threat throughout the fiber, the course of the game, it really helps a guy like Wright, because now you can't just focus on him.
7-0 run, George Mason. And you had talked about it a lot here, Ron, about the transition baskets for Richmond. That's the way they like to play. Not quite sure this half-court slowdown type of game. You know, they're going to get a lead, but...
Right, but not for this particular ball club, because they have multiple ball handlers. They have good speed in the backcourt, which translates offensively and defensively, as you just saw, the speed and quickness of Lindsey forced that turnover. So use what you have to your detriment, to your benefit, and that's the sign of a good coach. You see what you have. You may have a vision and want to play a certain way, but your players dictate how you're going to play. And great job, you got to credit Mooney for coming out of what he naturally may want to do and tailor his offense and his system toward the personnel that he has.
Okoloji back in for George Mason. The freshman Holloway back to the bench. 5-point Spider lead with the ball. Williams, who's hit a couple of threes today, not that time, and an offensive rebound. Brothers the floater. Rebound Arledge. They've missed him for a little bit of time out there. He had 3 fouls early on in that first half.
George Mason has to go loose sooner in the shot clock. They don't want to wind it down each possession. You don't want to panic, but you want to go as soon, as quickly as you can to give yourself more possessions in this game.
Holloway's coming back in. Also Alonzo Nelson Ododa for Richmond.
Richmond gets out of their man-to-man. They shift to their matchup. Let's see if George Mason can exploit it on the inside.
Arledge, tough pass, looking down low for Coates. Wayne Sparrow back in. 15th Mason turnover this afternoon. That was something that Coach Chris Mooney for Richmond said to us this week that was one of the keys for him today. So yeah, we've turned it over a little bit too much last couple of games. We have to take care of the ball.
Well, part of that was playing Kansas. When you go up against Kansas, at Kansas, it's really tough. That the heat that they hit you with defensively, the crowd gets into it. They were just overmatched talent-wise.
Here's a steal. Okoloji to the basket, gets the two.
Bring the press. Bring the press. Look to trap if it's there. Opportunity cheese.
Slicing through it to Cedric Lindsey. Now Williams just pushed underneath by Okoloji.
Defense has been the key and the catalyst to George Mason getting back in this game. And when you take a look at the way they've generated points, they've tried to use their defense to get back in it. You see right here, pressure on the ball. They shoot the passing lanes, and they're off to the races.
This is the CAA, and now they only lead by 3. It was in double figures. Mike Corey, Ron Thompson, happy holidays. It's a close ball game here as Mason comes back.
Excellent basketball both ways. George Mason's done an excellent job defensively here in the second half. They've closed off the three-point line, so Richmond isn't scoring as many threes. What George Mason has to do at this juncture is make sure they get a good shot attempt at the basket each and every possession. Right now, they're only down 3 points, so they're back in the ball game. We have a game right here, fellas.
Well, yes, we do. Both teams coming off a loss. Mason at 6-4 right now. Richmond at 9-3. Foul before the timeout as Williams is at the line for the Spiders. A 1-1. Here we go. Edwards running the show all afternoon for George Mason. Right, tough pass, looking into Copes, and it's picked out of midair by Greg Robbins. That should be George Mason ball. And off of Richmond's Nelson Adota, and Coach Chris Mooney is saying
he's completed his case. He said he kicked it. He said it was off George Mason. He's selling it, but the officials are right on top of it.
I thought his player kicked it.
Let's take a look at it and see if he's right. Pressure on the ball right here. The pass comes. No, I didn't see it. Didn't see it. Try another angle. And it looks like it's off of Richmond. Not unless he's trying to say that Holloway kicked it before it got to his player. Officials are right on top of it, though. Can't blame Mooney for selling it, though. Got to try.
Well, especially in the late stages here of this ball game. Under 3 minutes to go. Turnover is tied at 16. Now make it 17 for Mason.
And that's just what I was telling you. Mason has to get a good shot attempt because they're not as fluid offensively as Richmond, so they can't afford to have senseless turnovers. Someone has to get a shot up at the basket. If you miss it, crash the boards hard with your advantage and go get the offensive rebound.
And we'll call the foul here on Corey Edwards. A little bit too close that time. The brothers, who's going to head to the free throw line. Edwards' second foul. It's number 10.
As you look at Paul Hewitt, he's frustrated right now, but he likes the effort and pressure on the ball by Edwards. But Edwards didn't need to foul. Right now, you give Richmond's best free throw shooter a chance to go to the free throw line with the clock stopped to take a 3-point lead now to 4. Let them use their offense now all they want because you're back in the ball game.
Well, at 86% for Brothers coming in. He misses the first time.
Maybe Edwards knew what he was doing.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. 1-2, the first trip to the free throw line for Darien Brothers today, who's started in his 51st consecutive game for the Spiders. Been steady for them. And it's at 5 3-pointers today. Poet from Holloway. Spiders in no hurry. They turn it over, trying to go into Robbins. How about Edwards? Lindsey still down. A 5-on-4 here for Mason. Holloway, he hits the 3. And Lindsey is hurt for Richmond. It's a 1-point ball game, and he was late coming over, but because he's shaken up.
Go with it.
They'll attend to Lindsey, and it's a 1-point Richmond lead. Stay tuned. Back in a moment. Here, George Mason is yet to lead. Here's a look at the last play where Cedric Lindsey got shaken up, Ron, and
good effort that time by Lindsey diving on the floor, but I think he caught a knee to the nose by Corey Edwards, and because of that, he was slow getting back, and Holloway's taking target practice.
Now Richmond having a tough time getting the ball in bounds. They will retain it with 1:50 left.
Right now, if you're George Mason, Mike, you want pressure, you want energy, you want effort, but you don't want senseless fouls. Richmond's too good of a free throw shooting ball club to foul them unnecessarily and let them just go to the free throw line.
12-1 run to close the gap. Traveling violation. Minute 46 left. This is the second time today that George Mason has closed it to within one. It was 44-43 the last time. Did they get the lead this time?
If Mason can score here, believe it or not, this will be the first time they've led this entire ball game. Doesn't matter how you play early on, but if you can close games and play well when it counts, that's what's key.
It's back-to-back turnovers by the Spiders. Edwards, floating right-hander. Put back up and in by Jonathan Arledge, and it is the first lead of the day for George Mason.
That's why I said that Mason has to make sure that they get a good shot attempt. Get an attempt and then use your size to crash the offensive boards if you miss.
Williams getting double-teamed, calls a timeout.
Obvious, they have to try to look for Brothers. If Brothers isn't around, they're going to probably go to Williams.
You see it there, Richmond with 2 timeouts left, George Mason with 1. Remember, Richmond's in a double bonus here. 10 fouls already committed by George Mason. Arledge, who put that basket back in for the Patriots, now has 7 points and 8 rebounds.
Big-time defensive possession right here for George Mason. Communication has to be high. If there's a screen, you need to switch. You have to call it early because a lot of shooters and a lot of capable scorers on Richmond's ball club.
Robbins airmails Kendall Anthony.
He saw Anthony in the corner, but Anthony didn't grow 5 inches. Anthony was a little bit too short.
Well, I was going to say, Anthony's at 5'8". Even if he was 6'8", he might have had a tough time with that pass. A costly turnover with 1:07 left.
Not the end of the world. A lot of time left in this ball game. Play solid D if you're Richmond and try to get it back.
Edwards trying to take matters into his own hands, and Richmond will bail him out with a foul. It's going to be on Greg Robbins, his 4th.
Edwards splits the pick and roll, gets all the way to the basket. Right now, Edwards needs to be smart. The official called the foul. He got that one. But right now, you have a 1-point lead. Some risks and the gambles that you may take early in the game, you may not necessarily have to take right now. Be solid, close these free throws out, play solid D, and come back and have a solid offensive possession.
And that's the first time at the line for Corey Edwards today. Bertrell Bonds is back in. Haven't seen him in a little while. Edwards, a sophomore from South Jamaica, New York. Two-point George Mason lead. Lindsey with brothers Robbins, Williams, and Nelson Adota. "19-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock." Robbins. Williams for 3 of the lead. Back rim offensive board, Lindsey. Oh, what a shot from Cedric Lindsey to tie the game. Timeout, Spiders. 19.8 left.
Game, and these two have been the leading scorers. Which one of these guys are going to come through and make a play to close out this game?
It's been a 15-3 run by George Mason. Richmond's largest lead was 12 at 61-49. Trying to get it in as Arledge gets it into Copes. Possession arrow favors George Mason, and we get a tie-up here.
Edwards can really earn his stripes right now. As a young point guard, he's a sophomore. Can he get his ball club into the half-court set that their coach just drew up during the timeout?
Foul in Richmond, but they are not on the bonus yet. That's the 6th. That's why they did that, obviously. Nelson Ododa called for the 2nd.
The last game before this came down to the wire. George Mason played Northern Iowa. Allen was the point guard. They left him out there. They tried to close the game out. Didn't have as much luck. Now you see a change, a switch by Paul Hewitt. He's going to Corey Edwards, giving him the keys to the car and see what he can come up with.
Edwards to right for the win. Yes!
And they deliver.
Oh, what a shot!